People talk a lot about guardian angels. It's one of those religious ideas that's been adopted by popular culture. And it's not hard to see why it's a popular idea. There's something so comforting about it. It's good to believe that though we're alone, we're never alone. It's good to believe that though our lives will twist in ways that we can never predict or control, still we're being guided and protected by wise and powerful people. So is this idea really taught in the Word? Are all of us really being watched over by guardian angels right now? The term guardian angel hardly shows up in the writings of the New Church, and it doesn't appear at all in Scripture. And in the New Church, we tend to emphasize that we're ultimately saved and kept safe by the Lord alone. And it's good to emphasize that. But do we still have guardian angels? The answer is an emphatic yes. The writings even say that we couldn't carry on without our guardian angels. The reading from Arcana Celestia that you just heard said that it describes some of the ways that the angels protect us, and then said that angels from the Lord employ means like this to lead and protect a person, doing so every instant and fraction of an instant. For if the angels were to let up merely for a single moment, the person would be plunged into evil, from which after that he cannot possibly be brought out. If we were not protected by power from heaven, we, like Elisha and his servant, would find ourselves surrounded by armies of our enemies. Huge forces we can't possibly resist. And there would be nothing to stop those enemies from closing in on us. Even as it is, we can feel the presence of those enemies. Every human being knows what it's like to feel surrounded in spirit, to feel overwhelmed, to feel that we have no way of defending ourselves against the fear or the anxiety or the rage or the numbness that floods us. That flood is a very real thing in spiritual terms. The fires of contempt in us, or that stifling fear, are signs of the presence of evil spirits. Evil spirits who can multiply and surround and trap us, just like that army that trapped Elisha. They seed evil in us because they want to destroy us. And that's an unsettling thought. Most of us probably don't go through our days thinking that way, thinking that there are people in our lives who want to hurt us. But that's what evil spirits are. And we can't possibly beat them. We can't possibly match their cunning or the intensity of their hatred or their sheer numbers. They're like that great army with horses and chariots. When Elisha's servant saw that army, he said, "Alas, what shall we do?" And Elisha said, "Do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them." And he prayed that the servant's eyes be opened. Evil is louder than good. By definition, evil is aggressive and oppressive. It insists that it be noticed. So, if we're not paying attention, if we're not making an effort to lift up our minds, evil is much easier to notice than good. Evil is what will make its presence known, what will make itself felt. Love, on the other hand, is patient. Love listens to what we ask. So the angels will never make their presence known unless we choose to see them. But they are there. Think of Elisha's servant standing on the city wall in the dimness of the early morning, looking at all the very real ranks of the Syrian army, the indistinct dark masses of soldiers, maybe seeing light shining on metal here and there, and feeling awed and overwhelmed by the might of the enemy. And then looking up and seeing the mountain above and around that dark host filled with horses and chariots of fire. The angels protecting us are indisputably stronger than the evil spirits. There is no contest. Angels have power from the Lord, and that power is the only real power. The Lord made the world from His love by means of His truth. And that truth and the love within it sustain everything that really is. Angels receive love and truth from the Lord, so they partake of the power of life itself. Evil spirits have rejected that very power. They hide in darkness so that they can seem strong, but they have no strength. They're weak. And there's no ratio between strength and weakness. Strength is strength, and it will always win. Time and again, the writings describe vividly just how much power angels have over evil spirits. One angel can put thousands of evil spirits to flight. But the language of some passages is even stronger than that. We read, "So great is the power of angels in the spiritual world that if I were to bring forward all that I have witnessed in regard to it, it would exceed belief. Any obstruction there that ought to be removed because it's contrary to divine order, the angels cast down or overthrow merely by a look and an effort of the will. Thus I have seen mountains that were occupied by the evil cast down and overthrown, and sometimes shaken from end to end as in earthquakes. Also rocks cleft asunder down to the deep, and the evil who were upon them swallowed up. I have also seen some hundreds of thousands of evil spirits displaced and cast down into hell. Numbers are of no avail against the angels, neither are devices, cunning, or combinations, for they see through them all and shatter them in a moment." The great power that angels have by means of truth from good is evident also from this, that when an evil spirit is merely looked at by an angel, he falls into a swoon and does not look like a human being. And this until the angel turns away his eyes. Such an effect is produced by the look of the eyes of the angels, because the sight of angels is from the light of heaven, and the light of heaven is divine truth. And there are so many more passages like these. If any of you are interested in reading more, there's a booklet, including a number of them, available at the back of the church. So that army of angels with their horses and chariots of fire were so strong that one of them could have blown the Syrian host away. And there was an army of them. Their power is the power of truth from good. And that's why they're described as horses and chariots of fire. Chariots represent teachings, and horses the ability to understand them, and fire represents love. So their form is a form of truth, and their substance is love. If we're protected by allies who are so strong, how is evil ever able to touch us at all? If the angels really are that powerful, wouldn't we feel safe all the time? That's what the Lord wants. He wants to save us, to lead us to live among His angels so that we feel truly safe for all eternity. But if we were to be surrounded by loving angels when we don't want it, when we want to do things our way, when we want the pleasures of the here and now, well, we'd hate that. We'd feel stifled by it. One of the reasons that angels are allowed to wield such great power is that they can be trusted to use it wisely, with a deep awareness of the sanctity of our freedom. In some states, the idea of being guarded by angels will feel beautiful, and in other states, that idea will feel repellent. Sometimes we don't want to be good. Think of the disbelieving and contemptuous way we can sometimes talk about people or ideas that are too pure. Well, I'm not going to be that good. If we were forced to accept heavenly power and purity, we'd rage against it. So the angels come only as near to us as we ask them to come. Evil spirits have no such self-restraint. They'd walk over us in a heartbeat if they were allowed to. So they're restrained by our guardian angels. In the reading from the Arcana we heard, when evil spirits infuse evils and falsities, the angels instill goods and truths, which, even if they're not accepted, serve to temper what the former infuse. Evil spirits from hell are constantly on the attack, and angels provide protection. This is a proper state of order. Our guardian angels keep the evil spirits from getting too strong. Even if we've effectively told our guardian angels, get out of here, they watch over us from a distance, making sure that the evil spirits don't assume more power over us than we actually gave to them. And so the job of these guardian angels is to help maintain us in spiritual equilibrium. They won't force us to choose heaven. They could, but that would break the equilibrium. They restrain and counterbalance the evil spirits by stirring up what's good in us. And so they make sure that the door to heaven is never completely slammed shut as long as we live in this world. Spiritual equilibrium is the state of being free to choose which way we go. It doesn't mean that good and evil are always perfectly balanced in us. We can go deep into hell if we want that. Or we can choose to let the angels lift us up out of evil entirely. Our guardian angels are responsible for making sure that the forces that pull us in one direction are always matched by forces pulling us in the other direction, so that we, tiny specks in this sea of spiritual power, are still free to choose which way we go. That means that we are free to choose salvation. We are free to choose to enter the sphere of the angels, a sphere that evil cannot come near. If we see evil in ourselves and reject it and turn to the Lord, then His angels will be with us. And they'll say to the evil spirits, "You have been told to leave." An angel is an emissary of the Lord. That's what angel means. It means emissary or messenger. And they bear the power of the God who sent them. Their message is His presence. And the Lord's power over evil is overwhelming. We could never understand it, and we're not expected to. The descriptions of what the Lord's angels are capable of help to give us some idea of the extent of His power. But He's still infinitely stronger than the angels are. The stories in the Word of the Lord's life on earth also help us to begin to understand the Lord's strength. Some stories from the New Testament seem to show the Lord as a victim, submitting to the forces of evil, particularly the crucifixion story. But consider this passage from John, part of the story of the Lord's arrest in the garden. Then Judas, having received a detachment of troops and officers from the chief priests and Pharisees, came there with lanterns, torches, and weapons. Jesus, therefore, knowing all things that would come upon him, went forward and said to them, "Whom are you seeking?" They answered him, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus said to them, "I am." Now Judas, who betrayed him, also stood with them. Now when he said to them, "I am," they drew back and fell to the ground. They could not touch him, except that he chose to submit to them for the sake of revealing a greater power. And when he rose again, he said, "All power has been given to me in heaven and on earth. And lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." He is with us with all power. It's there for us to receive. And he told us, whatever you ask in prayer, believing, you will receive. When he was arrested, he told his disciples, "Do you think that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he will provide me with more than 12 legions of angels?" If we pray that prayer believing, will he not answer? Is it too much to believe that our spirit could wake up within us and feel the presence of 12 legions of angels above and around us? Angels with horses and chariots of fire. They will be with us if we ask them, because they love us. They will guard us heart and soul, because they love us. We're told, the nature of the Lord's love surpasses all human understanding and is unbelievable in the extreme to people who don't know what heavenly love is, in which angels dwell. To save a soul from hell, the angels think nothing of giving their own lives. Indeed, if it were possible, they would suffer hell themselves in place of that soul. What an extraordinary thing to be loved so much. And what a source of peace to know that we are guarded by that love and that power. 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling, for he shall give his angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. Amen.